Welcome to Vlog Thursday number 387, Open Source Updates, Tech Talk, and Live Q&A. I literally just landed, I guess a couple hours ago now. I did take the time to eat, talk with some friends, talk about new things that are in the store. So the shop.learnsystems.com store, where we're still pushing more updates. I had a meeting with Matt, but traveling, that was what I've been doing a lot of. And so things were still happening on the back end. That's why he's got to meet with Matt and kind of catch up. Matt is now the back end designer making things like this happen. People had asked for the "You're on Mute" shirt that I wear, and we give you lots of options on this one. So you got lots of colors. You can go gray. I think the one I have is like a blue. It's not this color blue, but it's blue. This is a nice color too. Anyways, lots more options here. And for those of you that are interested, that's just at shop.learnsystems.com. Let's see. Let me mute my phone. There's too much noise going on here. There we go. I wish, like, one day I'll get fancy and have a complete automation that when I go live, an automation will occur that hits mute on my phone. Actually, I have the ability to do that. Yeah. Store things. There's Matt joining for the live stream here. Yeah. But there's a whole new category in here of Ninja One things. So yes, they're all in here. Lots of new things in here. The You're on Mute. I do like the You're on Mute pretty much. I think I like it. I really like these shirts a lot. I was wearing them at the event I was at, like this style shirt. I wasn't sure. So I was like, do I want sleeves? What I like is I don't like when sleeves come all the way to my wrists. And because these stop before your wrist, they're perfect. I don't know. I'm going to order a lot more of those shirts. So did I push it? Do I have to do the millennial pause, as it's been called, where it starts in the middle of a sentence? Does it start? It says live. I usually wait till the 1 second mark. That's my millennial pause, as I learned it's called. So yeah, I could do this with a home automation. Absolutely. That's exactly how I could do it. That one, this is on. Matter of fact, I could really do that because I'll show something here. I'm not going to actually turn it off, but I can show this on my camera. The cameras are actually controlled in Home Assistant. So if I change things in Home Assistant, you can actually have it trigger at the same time an action on the phone. So when camera gets turned on, because I turn the camera off when I'm not using it. Whenever camera turn on, phone off. That's probably a good automation. Maybe I'll work on that. That's easier to do it that way. More like 5 seconds. All right. So I will extend the millennial pause and make sure we get that sorted out. Do the shirts run small? I don't think so. They seem pretty normal to me. I wear an XL shirt though. So I think that's normal for any of the shirts they wear. They don't feel this I'm wearing right now. This is XL. And it's got fuzzies on it. So make sure I didn't spill anything on it. But this one's XL, and I don't know. I know that like XL for most all brands work for me. So yeah, I don't know on the bigger sizes because I don't have anyone at least I don't think. Well, no, I don't know. I'd have to ask. I do have some 3XL employees, so I can ask them because I think they got some shirts. So I can do that. So we're going to do probably next week. We're going to do an employee order of shirts. That is on the to-do list for things. But I was at the ConnectWise event. That's actually what the photo was from the beginning here. Specifically, it was the IT Nation event, and me and Jason Slagle, we took the stage and did some talks. I did a talk for Blumera. I did a talk with Jason. He joined me. Well, he let me. I was his emotional support extra speaker. It was really Jason's talk, and I just had some social commentary added in there. But it was about security around building your MSP automations. So really niche content, but despite being niche content, there's quite a few people in here. So we got the infamous Matt Lee here in the front and a lot of other people. So there's our Matt. So there's a lot of good people in here. It was good. It was a good talk, good Q&A afterwards. Definitely a lot of fun. So I'm back from that. My voice is hoarse, if you didn't notice, because of a few days of speaking, standing up on stage, and then talking to many, many, many people. Many of you said you were fans of the channel. Love meeting all the people in person. So cool. Conversations just seem to last forever. But then they had to get cut short because it was 2 a.m. So and that happened like every night. So I will be catching up on my rest now that I'm here. I don't rest when I'm there. I'm like, go, 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 move, and meet as many people as possible. I got to really seize that opportunity. So I had some just great conversations with people, and that in-person stuff is so good. I plan to launch a new speaker page where I'll be doing more public speaking, where and when I'll be there. Companies have mentioned they want to have me talk, so hey, I'm going to put all that together and make it easy for them, so they can go, hey, here's places Thomas spoke, here's some of the talks Tom's willing to give, here's the categories. And being on my website, I always keep that stuff up to date, so it'll be very current. Obviously we know what I talk about my YouTube channel. I will go a little bit different when I talk in person. I mean, I'll talk about anything I talk about on my YouTube channel, but sometimes the nature of the niche of that I do, working in the managed service provider space, talking about tooling, hey, that's definitely stuff that I'll talk about. In the other channel we have, Business Technicalities, we talk a lot about sales and marketing, and I did talk about sales and marketing with some people. That was another thing, less technical, but more about sales. We talked about things like master service agreements, and hey, those are talks I'll do, but we have those talks on the Business Technicalities channel. All right, that's me catching up what's been going on for the last week. And something else that's been going on, and I figured I'll share this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because the video is already done. But the commentary on the OpenSense video is, boy, people just like to argue sometimes. And this is the kind of commentary, and this is why I focused only on the technical, because people get very drama about things. This was the why I'm not using OpenSense video, because people keep asking me why I'm not using it. This person has commented a lot of places. They use it. I don't think, I'm assuming it's the same person on Reddit who's told me the same thing, but never can back it up. And it just says, you're still wrong about OpenSSL support. You're just saying opinions. Now, this is one of those things, like I documented and linked to the documents in my forum on this, like not my documents, like the documentation from OpenSSL, like, hey, this is end of life. And this person just keeps telling me I'm wrong about it being end of life. And I'm just like, I told them, I'm always polite. You seem confused about OpenSSL. When I was support, it took this is statements back and forth. It's just weird how people argue about that. They also were people complaining, like, I don't spend time talking about the fact that pfSense typo squatted a domain. It happened. It was stupid. It's like, that's mentioned in the forums. I'm just like, yeah, okay. Is that the only thing you can think of? People behaving childishly, or, I don't know. It was one of those things, like I didn't dwell on it much, but just reading through the comments in there, I'm just like, someone said it was devoid of any technical detail. It was just an opinion piece. And I'm like, actually, I kept opinions out and I just left technical details. But hey, read that forum post. That's kind of my answer for people. Like, go ahead and, that's why I linked to everything. So, not many people have taken up the more engaging debate you can have in the forums on it. They're willing to just post you're wrong, but not really tell me why, I guess. This kind of, I don't understand some people, but I guess I'm not supposed to. But if you go to my forum post, feel free to join in the discussion of any of this, because it's, like I said, it's all viewable and postable in my forums if anyone wants it. Oh, fun stuff. There are some new UniFi updates that are pretty cool. I do like that they got the new version out. I kind of mentioned it last week because I was looking at it. So I will hopefully get a video done on that tomorrow. The UniFi is doing good stuff. I like their positioning in the market. And I thought about doing an updated video called that, like what UniFi's updated position for 2024, because it is. They've really changed like where they are with things and what they're doing and what they're working on. And, I'm holding in my hand some of the new UniFi devices, the new Wi-Fi 7 devices, some of the new, this is the cover. I think these are the paintable covers. We could probably wear them as a hat. And, but these are pretty cool. But I decided we're going to be upgrading the Wi-Fi at my house and I'm going to take the time. My wife remodeled her office, so she already has an in-wall, the old model in her office. We're going to put the new one possibly in her office, but I'm going to figure out how I want all this to be mounted, to look, how the covers will go on it, and it's going to be nice when I'm done. We're going to do the upgrade, and I'll cover it. So. Yeah, the Protect update was really big too. Cody did a great job of covering it, so please go watch Cody's video on the topic. He's got a video out on the new 8.2 release, and of course the Protect update. Now, this is one of those things I mentioned this last week that people were asking me to do a Synology versus UniFi video for the video side, and one of those things like, and Cody knows this as well. We get some of the updated releases for things that are coming, which is great, but it also sometimes will delay because why do a video when these new features are around the corner, and these new feature sets that came before are really nice. And I want to do a more fair comparison. It's just like, I knew the DNS was coming, but I still talked about it in my pfSense versus UniFi video, because it's usually not the thing that people talk about the most. And it's not hard to announce, hey, it now has that feature where you can add a lot more of your own DNS records and things like that. But that's usually not the hanging point when people are trying to pick between the two firewalls of one of the UniFi firewalls versus that. But, my overall feeling is UniFi has really done a great job, especially over the last just year, and ramp things up. And it's not that they just started working on it. That's always what people think, they're finally getting around to it. It's that long tail of engineering that led up to it. It's not like you can say, we want to do this, because I've even, been very honest, talking to some of my friends that are developers, have worked in the developer space. And I told them, I said, if I handed you $10 million right now, like I just said it here and said, this is yours, build me a firewall. You can give away all the code. We'll make it open source. Build me a firewall and make it have all the features like pfSense does, build it in Linux, et cetera, et cetera. Could you make this happen in how much time? And he's just like, yeah, that stack ain't big enough is kind of the thing to really get something built out. One, long time to do. It's not going to be a 6-month project. Everyone thinks, well, it's just Linux underneath and it's just BSD underneath, and you just build a UI for it, until they realize the complexities of actually building a UI for a firewall. So it's a pretty big undertaking to do these things. Went back and took a look at your pfSense VPN setup. Had you tried? Oh, I've been trying for ages to get CyberGhost VPN to load pfSense specific VLAN no avail. After your vid for PIA and pfSense, it clicked. Yeah, you can use that PIA video. I chose PIA, but honestly, it should work with like a lot of different providers. The concept is the same for any of them, so definitely that should work. So awesome that you got it working on there. I might do a video that is accurate to how I do things in terms of VPN, because I've talked about, and hold on, let me see if it's even up and running right now. I'll fire it up if it's not, because it's a good thing to talk about, is my Chasm server, which I haven't done a video on Chasm. I don't know if like Chasm wanted to sponsor a video, and I just didn't feel like doing the video, so I said no. And then some people are like, well, don't take sponsorship because then you're just biased on it, but I'm using it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Okay, yeah, it's running, so I can pull this up. But I use the VPN, so I can always be on a system that allows me. Gotta log into it first. And I can share tab. There we go. Current tab. And this is Chasm, KASM. So make sure, well, you're gonna find out my VPN's working. Hey, yes, I am currently not in Switzerland. So, in case anyone was wondering, that's not my IP address. But yeah, it's really nice if when you have it all set up. So certain things on different, I don't route whole VLANs. I only route very specific machines out over the VPN. It's very specific routes. So I might go over what I do for my network setup, so people get some ideas. And you may find that mine it kind of depends on where you are. Some people go, hey, that's great. Some people will tell me, Tom, I have 38 different VLANs because I think every device needs to be on a separate VLAN. And that's fine if you want to do that. I don't. That's going too far. But for me, it's as simple as this. I just have some aliases, and you notice that these are all across different networks. So when I want something to exit through the exit through the PIA VPN, I just add it to the list here. So maybe I'll do an extension of how I set these aliases up, and it's a really simple thing to do for how I do my firewall rules, how I do security. Because people have been finding a little bit surprising when I tell them I don't do things like, I don't use Nextcloud. I don't really need to. All my documents, I just sync them with SyncThing. I'm kind of old school on that. Not everything needs to run in a web interface, can't keep it simple. Sorry for already addressed this before. I had two friends who had their Ubiquiti networks fail after the latest update. Is this common? I have auto update off on my devices. I don't think I have that many failures. There's most of the time when people have failures, we start digging into it. And there's a lot of configuration that maybe not set up properly. I found people who had failures updating the controller, but then I find out they're running on a Raspberry Pi, which is not the most ideal way to do it. There's all kinds of little things that we always run into where we had someone who complained about a failing and they were using, was it Light Sail? They were using such a small instance. That's why it was failing. And so I need to know the full parameters before I'm going to say it is uncommon in our infrastructure for it to happen. But our infrastructure, or for example, if I were to pull up our UniFi controller, I go to our production system here. It is uncommon for it to fail on our situation, but also my UniFi controller may not be set the same as yours. So mine has 8 gigs of RAM in it. Does yours have 8 gigs of RAM? I don't know. Do you have 8 cores that are really fast assigned to it? I don't know. So I don't think it's common, but it's not common for us to have the failures. Have you seen UniFi Ultra Access Door Control? Does the lower price point make UniFi Access seem more for smaller sites? Travis saying we've had no issues with updates to our current clients. Yeah, really not an issue there. Both had Dream Machines. Interesting. We don't have that many people with Dream Machines, so I don't have a good baseline of statistics on that one. That's something you may have to poke around in UniFi forums, or because we're usually the one hosting the controller on the system. That could be kind of back to Travis's point, why we have fewer issues on that as an issue. Would TrueNAS Scale VM be a good home for Zen Orchestra? It's okay. It's not. It works. I've run it on TrueNAS Scale. I've run it on what do you call it? I run it in VirtualBox, and my only problem with TrueNAS Scale is you have to build a bridge to get it working properly. Because in TrueNAS Scale, if it runs inside a TrueNAS Scale and you don't have the bridge set up on a virtual machine, it also can't talk to TrueNAS Scale, and it needs to talk to TrueNAS Scale to store the data. So that can be a problem, I guess you could say. But yeah, interesting on the Dream Machines. The ones I've had in my lab have not failed at all, but they're also in my lab and aren't under any heavy use. The other thing they always have to factor in, and this is why I tell people not to do this, there's people who tell me I'm wrong because the Dream Machine has more capabilities than you mentioned, Tom, because I went from the command line and modified it because it's just Linux underneath, and they'll load a bunch of things on top of it. And I'm like, well, then it breaks the updates. And when those situations are there, I don't know how you can be mad at the company. It's the same thing with TrueNAS. TrueNAS is built like an appliance. The Unified Dream Machine is an appliance. You have command line access, but if you start monkeying with the command line, you are now off script, and it may or may not do the updates properly because you've modified things from the command line. So, I mean, I'm not saying they did, but it's just something you have to take into consideration if people are more technical. Because my daughter has, I threw it at my daughter's house because it auto updates. I got to get her a new one. She's got the old Dream cylinder, and I'm going to put a new one in at her house. But it works. It works quite well, and it auto updates, so Dad doesn't have to manage it or auto update it. So I think that's I think that's great. It's why I recommend like friends and family is like I slap a UniFi in because I know it'll work. I know it'll auto update. The Wi-Fi works fine. I've actually found it to be very reliable. But hey, there's what do I have in my lab right now? I'd have to log in and look. There's a couple of them still attached. So I have a lot more UniFi stuff that now that I'm done traveling, I'm done going to all these events. I'm going to sit down and hammer down on this and make this all happen. So that's got to catch up on things. That's always the challenging part is catching up on everything. I'm doing a charity bike ride on Saturday with some friends. So outside of that, it's not really traveling because it's happening in the area here, which I got to prepare for tomorrow. My friends will be hanging out, so I won't get a lot done tomorrow. So I'm going to hang out with them in the afternoon. I don't people always realize just the lots of time that I put into, working at CNWR to an extent, talking with people, having meetings, and then on top of that, also creating all the content. But sometimes I spend a lot of hours between here or just sitting in front of my laptop typing everything up. But it's a labor of love. I've had a few staff who are using LogSeq. So I will do the video on LogSeq for those wondering. So I don't think there's anything in here that's, let me look here. Yeah, I can share all that. That's just all my newsletter stuff. What I'm going to do is make my video of how I build out my newsletter and, how I build things or what, checking this for watching later and how you follow up with things or, hey, here's me, which I actually need to change this to that's also a slash later there. Actually, that's a to do. Because some things are just later because I'll look at them later. There we go. Now that's a to do. So I really like the LogSeq for doing stuff. It kind of makes it easy to organize all my stuff. So these are my journals, which my journals are usually this. I read a lot of news stories and collect them, and then I consolidate them once a month into a newsletter. And twice a month, I do a video with my friends over at MSP Dispatch. But of course, there's all the other things in between, like my XCPNG notes for how anytime I'm modifying something, if I find something else to add to my notes, I just drop it all right here. Just handy to have. But I'll talk about the whole second brain thing when I do the video of how I build my videos, how I build. Matter of fact, I think inside of here, is it this one? No, that's not it. I'll find it. I'll find it later. Oh, there's one. Oh, that's not one of them either. This is kind of a funny one. This is already on my website, but if you're asking about like content creators I follow, podcasts, this is how I started the list that is now living on my website for all the different creators. Once again, it's all just stuff I do in LogSeq, but then as I change and add it, I add it here and then bring it there. But you'll find this one. This is all published on my website. So if you're curious what other creators I have, that you'll find this, like I said, you'll find it at lawrencesystems.com. Pondering swapping out my access point. How well does UniFi APs do with 3 foot of stone walls between rooms? Any issues missing features with self-hosted controllers? No, there's no missing features with the self-hosted controller, but the problem with materials is physics problems. So that is there's always a challenge with that. When you have any type of things that block Wi-Fi, it is what it is. It is a challenge. Bricks or any high dense things, they block Wi-Fi signals. Something you can really do to get around that. It's not a brand problem. It is a Wi-Fi only goes through so far problem. The Wi-Fi LR series that they do, the long range is really good for Ubiquiti. So I like the long range ones because they reach way out to my yard pretty good. And I've been pretty happy with them. But when I do the Wi-Fi upgrade for all Wi-Fi 7 at my house, which I don't even know if I have that many devices that are Wi-Fi 7, but I'll still talk about that and I'll show the range because it's a real world experience. But I do not have, well, I do have, I guess it's going through brick. It's gonna some come out the window. Some we have a traditional stick built American house, but there's a brick facade. The brick in the US is not the same type. It's not a brick through and through house where they then add the stick framing. They do stick framing and put brick on the outside. So it still does block the Wi-Fi. Thank you very much. Have a beverage on me. Absolutely. That's what I'll do tonight and chill out. My beverage of choice tonight, though, probably won't be a beer or anything. I'm probably going to end up getting a little bit of warm tea and honey because my throat's sore. Dream Machines found their expensive ship back from Australia. I now wait a few weeks before updating the Dream Machine Pro. Yeah, I mean that is kind of a challenge with some of them, I imagine. Yeah, having them easily available. Perils of homes from the 1820s. Yeah, that is a challenge. I mean, it's less an issue because, well, we don't really have as many homes that old. We have some. There are some older homes in the United States, but not the majority of them. The type of construction we do here doesn't lend itself to lasting that long. We've always had a lot of essentially cheap timber, and we build houses out of it, and timber is not necessarily, it can be well cared for, it lasts a long time, but generally it's not. And so we don't have collections of houses. Now there are areas that do, but that's another topic. Like you go to like Boston area and Salem, there's some areas that still have some really old, well preserved wood houses, but yeah, it's not the normal here in the United States. So we just don't run into that. We do have a lot of 100-plus-year-old buildings, though, that are pretty heavy brick. We've worked in a few of them for installing Wi-Fi. It's a lot of challenges. The answer is throw more Wi-Fi units at it. Like, yeah, the Wi-Fi doesn't reach to the next room because the rooms are heavy brick in between. Put more Wi-Fi in. That's actually why Ubiquiti makes all these little, smaller ones and everything else, is to create that higher density. Kind of just how it works. Oh, let's see. I did see something. Yeah. Trolls are a thing. Trolls are definitely a thing. And anytime you're comparing products, people just get really excited about trolling things. They want to get all it's like a hobby on the internet. And I'm not a big troll. I've maybe younger Tom was a long time ago, early internet. When you're in your 20s, it's something in your DNA or your makeup of that time that you're like, oh, I got to be a little more snarky online. But, I was not a social media person because when I started, there wasn't social media. So, when I started in the 90s, I guess you could say BBSs were social media. Was dialing into a BBS, is that really social media? It's certainly not in its current form, and certainly because you were doing it all essentially anonymously to an extent. I mean, the people running the BBS usually knew who you were if you were a paying member, and I was a paying member to several of them. So, those people knew who I was, but other people knew me as the names I used back then. Always interesting to think about all that stuff there. But I'm going to wind this down. I'm keeping it to just a half hour. I'm just keeping it short because, one, my voice is run out. It was, fun talking to all the people at the ConnectWise event. The party there is pretty cool. I swear, did my phone not upload anything else? There's I thought I took more photos. Maybe I didn't. No, I guess I didn't. Oh, I did. There they are. I was thinking they happened because this was cool. I did have someone will get a kick out of this. Stop present. So share screen.
This is really cool.
There you go. They had these, they took a picture of you and then it would draw you. It was really cool. It was stuff they were doing here. No, I don't have a second. I don't have the time to create enough content for a second spicy food channel. I mean, I always think like, hey, that'd be fun to do, but then I don't actually end up doing it because it's just too much work. So I don't really have any of that going on. But people were, the usual. I take pictures, people photobomb you, and things like that. So those are fun. They're kind of fun events. So I do enjoy going there. Like I said, I got to meet many of you. Some of you watch my vlog or watch my channel in one way or another. So definitely definitely fun stuff. Do I have any other pictures worth sharing? Just the after party. It's a big place, so it's kind of cool. But all the fun. So, all right, I'm going to wander off topic because I'm still a little tired after, several days of nonstop at a big event, and now my voice being a little bit gone. So I will get some rest and be back at it tomorrow morning, knocking out a new video. Probably I might do a new UniFi update video because I've been keeping everything up to date. So I got to update our. I'll get to all that tomorrow. But thanks everyone for joining. Thanks everyone who took the time to click the link. And I see about over 100 of you on here. So like and subscribe and all that stuff if you haven't before. Smash that like button. Do appreciate it. Check out the shop.lawrencesystems.com because we definitely have lots of new shirts in there to check out, and I'm wearing one of them now. I really like this one's been one of my favorites. People have been sending me so many pictures of like this shirt right here and all the variations of other stuff we have on there. So I just think it's really cool. So I just thrilled with what Matt's been doing on there, man. It's been great seeing the whole store come together. But thanks everyone, and take care.